Alrighty, it's your boy Zxous, and we're back with another Goddess of Victory Nikke video. And today's video, we are going to be going over this tier list that I've created, basically prioritizing the skill upgrades for characters in Nikke. Now, obviously, before we begin, I want to have some disclaimers because, again, I know some of these placements, some people will be like, what is he talking about? So, first thing, this is off of Endgame, right? This is all considering nothing but Endgame. It is, right? Two, you also have to remember that skill upgrades are very, very valuable and in this game. I want to say rare, not really rare because you get them often, but obviously like a lot of you probably won't have any of these characters level 10 skills at all. Like if you're watching this video right now, I could probably guarantee that more than 90% of the people watching doesn't even have 3 characters full level 10, right? Even you probably don't even have one character full level 10 skills, right? Because of how much maths go into it. So you kind of have to like pick and choose which one you're going to go with, right? And then also, if there's a character here, I'm not going to go over everybody here, obviously. But if there's a character here that you want more explanation on, let me know in the comments down below and I'll get back to you, or somebody else will get back to you. But I'm going to talk about it here. So the tiers we have are all skills, skill 1 and burst, skill 2 and burst, skill 1 and 2, just skill 1, just skill 2, just the burst skill, and if you need to. So obviously, these are going to be the placement for the skills you want to be upgrading for that specific character. The characters in if you need to are characters that are just not worth it at all, regardless, right? Right, but if you have no other characters, no other options, then by all means, go ahead and invest into them. If they're a waifu down there, go ahead and invest into them. But I feel like those characters down there have no value in the game right now. Well, I don't want to say no value in the game. It's just kind of a waste, right? Now, another thing, I didn't mention this, but I am also considering values of percentages and values of skills actually, right? Like for example, there's some characters on this tier list where they, for example, at level 1 will increase hit rate by 3%, and then at level 10 it's 5%. Are you gonna use all? Then that's where you have to start asking yourself, are you gonna use all those materials to increase your hit rate by 2% from level 1 to 10? Do you understand how much skills and how much materials that is for a 2% increase in hit rate? You know what I mean? So those are also things you have to consider. So the characters in all skills are just the characters who are the most valuable in the game. I feel like the characters who, if you upgrade all their skills, you get value from each one of their skills, right? Obviously, Litter, right? Litter is probably, like, out of every single character in the game, I want to see Litter is probably one of the characters, if not the character that's guaranteed upgrade every single one of her skills because she's so good, right? So basically, her first skill is one of those skills where you have to keep using her burst skill to build it up, so it's actually just worth it to upgrade that because you're always going to use her burst skill, especially since her burst skill is a massive attack buff for all allies. And then her second skill is she's the only one in the game who can actually do this, which is she can recover HP covers by a certain percentage, right? So it's only like natural that you would get Litter all her skills up. Characters like Senti, I know someone's looking at like, why is Senti there, right? Because even Senti is even lucky she's in. I don't feel like you need to upgrade any skills for Senti. I genuinely don't feel like you need to upgrade any skills for Senti, right? Her first skill just reduces the cooldown of skill 2, right? But even if you don't even like look at the first skill at all, right? Without the first skill, the second skill will proc every other 4 seconds after the first 9 seconds. So it'll take 9 seconds to proc, and then after 9 seconds, it lasts for 5 seconds. It will take 4 seconds to proc. Every other 4 seconds, you will have that shield for 5 seconds, right? That's good enough already. You don't even need to upgrade this skill at all, right? I generally don't feel like you need to upgrade her. I put her in skill 1 and burst because obviously her skill 1 is if you want to be faster with the shield, right? Because that could also make or break some stuff in the game, right? Like let's say you need the shield earlier to beat something, that's where the first skill will come into play. And then the second, or her burst skill, is just like defense reduction. But again, Senti honestly is not a character where you need to upgrade her skills at all. She's just a character you need to have. Because again, your reasoning for having Senti on your team is this second skill right here. The fact that she can create a shield equivalent to a percentage, which is, you don't want to upgrade the second skill whatsoever. Because at level 1, I believe it's like 3%. And at level 10, it goes up by up by 3%. And not only is it a waste in terms of percentage increase, but it's a waste because even at 6% of the max HP in endgame, anything is still one-shotting the shield. So it kind of just does not make any sense, in my honest opinion, to upgrade her second skill. And I do hope they actually bring an event into the game where we have a chance to reset skills, because that is definitely something I am going to reset. I genuinely do not believe it makes any sense to upgrade a skill that will still get one-shotted in terms of the percentage of the max HP. Like, it just doesn't make sense, right? 6% of your max HP is very, very low, especially since in endgame every boss, or even just regular enemies, will break it, like, one shot. And guaranteed, right? Obviously, characters like Modernia and Scarlet are going to be in all skills, because those are characters who get much value out of it. They're DPSs of the game, right? I guess you could say almost every single DPS gets a value of upgrading all their skills. But again, it goes to little things like the percentages, right? I never in my life am I going to use all those materials that I could use on somebody else for a 4 to 5 to 3, whatever, like, percentage increase. That's how I see it, right? Even like Haran is a character where upgrading her skills is actually very, very good, right? Because obviously she has the virus transfer now. I don't remember what character it was. I'm gonna find out. What character was it? Let me pause and figure out which character it was. Alright, so I found it was Noah. So Noah, as you see, is in burst skill, right? The reason why she's only in burst is because her first skill is very good, but it's a 10% chance. I would not recommend ever to increase skills up to level 10 for skills that have a 10%, 10, 20, 30%. If it's not a 100% chance, I don't feel like upgrading that skill is valuable whatsoever, because if it's if I have a 10% chance, right? This affects all allies though, so it's not as bad. But if I have a 10% chance to cast something, what's it called? Then if I have a 10% chance to cast something, it's like, if I upgrade it, is it really gonna matter? Because I might not have a chance to proc it. Now, somebody's definitely gonna say, okay, if that's the case, if we're gonna use that logic, what about Scarlet? Because Scarlet has a 30% chance, right? And again, you can make the case for Scarlet as well, but you got to remember, based on how Scarlet's first skill worked, it's more useful than, I want to say, someone like Noah's, right? Scarlet increases her attack by well over 100%, right? You have a 30% chance of casting when being attacked, and it will do 138.24% of attack as damage, of increased attack by 100%. It kind of just works well together, right? Again, even if you do not proc it, then you lose that value, I want to say. But if you do proc it, because of how her first skill works, it actually is beneficial, right? Where I want to say someone like Noah's, regardless of if you proc it or not, it's not going to be all that beneficial. I mean, sustained damage is pretty good, but it's only going to be 8% for 10 seconds. Like, it depends on where you're at, right? It depends. It really just depends where you're at, right? Because there's times where enemies are not even attacking you. I feel like that's more of a PvP skill, right? So keep that in mind. But yeah, I think honestly this is where I'm going to have my prioritized tier list. Again, I'm not gonna go over everybody. If you want, you can just click on the character and figure out why. I think a character like Dala as well, right? Dala is definitely a character where, if we look at Dala, Dala. What was her? I put her in 1 and 2, right? Her burst skill is just an attack skill, right? You could upgrade that if you want. It's not by force, right? The only reason why I would say you could upgrade the burst skill is because her second skill is one of those skills that works or is based on her burst skill. So realistically, we could put her in all skills, right? Because it kind of doesn't make sense for you to upgrade her second skill that only works based on her burst skill. Right, so it just makes sense to upgrade the burst skill if you're going to do more damage to proc the second skill. And then obviously the first skill is just like, that's a given. You're gonna of course upgrade that, right? But yeah, definitely let me know what you guys think. In terms of how I consider my placements, this is probably not gonna, people are probably not gonna agree with this. But if, again, like I said, definitely look at a character here and tell me what character you're looking at. And then ask me why they're here and there, and then obviously in the comments, or myself or anybody else in the comments will probably give you a reason on why you want to upgrade those skills over the other skills, right? I think I try to go more over the important characters, right? That's like, I think I try to go over more of the important characters, right? Litter, Modernia, Scarlet, Senti. But let me talk about Sakura now that I'm mentioning it, right? Because Sakura is a character that's going to be beneficial for the train, right? She's definitely a character where you want to upgrade her burst skill. Because of how it works against the train, and then her first skill, right? Her second skill is a perfect example of a skill you don't need to upgrade, right? I think it's like 2%, right? And it goes up by another 2%. So at level 1, it's 2% for the burst skill cooldown, and it goes up to 4%. And then I think at level 1, for the second skill, let me see if I can pull it up here. At level 1, it's 4%. So it's just a 3% and a 2-second increase. It's just not worth it in my opinion, especially since projectiles, it is permanently. Keep that in mind. But projectiles, if you're not fighting projectiles, which is basically against bosses, then it makes no sense. But I feel like you're only ever going to use her against a boss, so it does make sense. I just played myself right there. But at the same time, it's like you're only going to use her against train, right? And against train, projectiles are still very easy to break, regardless if you have the damage increase or if you don't. Let's just be realistic. Her first skill is a massive defensive buff to everybody, and then her burst skill is literally making the train do no damage. So, and she's increasing attack, right? And then obviously damage interruption parts, which is the red circle, is just increased as well. So it makes sense, right? But her second skill generally is just useless to upgrade. Again, this is where it's like times like this where you have to consider, is it worth using all these mats on this one skill that has not much value compared to a character in like all skills, or a character like Senti's first skill, or even like Litter? Would you rather use all your mats on Sakura's second skill there when you can use all that mats on Litter's burst skill, right? That's how you kind of want to see it, I think. But definitely let me know what you guys think. This is going to be the tier list here. If you have any questions for a character and why they're in that tier list, definitely let me know in the comments, and I will reply to you, tell you guys why, right? So yeah, it's your boy Zxous, and I'm out. Later, peace.